The Sick Man of Europe, The Life of Abdul Hamid II, Last Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. A memoir by his personal physician, Dr. Ismail Zaid. Some months after his ascension to the throne, the Sultan traveled to Russia to greet and pay his respects to his royal counterpart, Tsar Alexander II. On this occasion, the Tsar presented the Sultan with a magnificent gift, a jeweled Chinese egg. A curious story attends this meeting, one which has since been embroidered by so many hands that even those who should know better now accept the popular version in preference to their own memory. I, as the Sultan's personal physician, can assure the reader that what follows is a true and accurate account. When the Sultan, in the presence of the Tsar and all his ministers, first opened the egg, he saw within the painted portrait of a beautiful woman. It struck him that the portrait bore a striking resemblance to his favorite mistress, a young girl from Konya whose name was Jasmine. She was indeed a lovely creature, with fair skin and long auburn tresses, and the likeness gave the Sultan an amusing idea. That night, after the day's festivities, as moonlight streamed through the royal apartments, the Sultan summoned Jasmine to his quarters. "My love," he said, intending to have a little joke with her, for, contrary to popular belief, the Sultan had a fine sense of humor. "I have had your portrait painted." And he handed her the egg. What she must have thought, a young girl accustomed as yet but little to royal ways, as she took in her hands this magnificent treasure? The Sultan could scarcely have foreseen the girl's reaction, for no sooner did her gaze fall upon the portrait than, with a scream, she threw the precious egg across the room. As the Sultan rose in amazement, the girl shrank from him, pleading with him to spare her life. Enraged by her insolence, the Sultan drew his sword and slew the unfortunate child on the spot. By great fortune, the egg had landed among soft pillows and was entirely undamaged. The Sultan picked it up, cradling it in his hands, and made sure that the Tsar's gift was intact. Before closing the little cover to the locket, the Sultan decided to take one last look at the painted face that reminded him of Jasmine. What he saw made him gasp in horror. It was indeed the face of Jasmine, but white and dead, with a gash in her throat. Of course, like most so-called tales of the fantastic, this one had a perfectly rational explanation, of which I was able to satisfy myself by an examination of the egg itself. The locket contained not one, but 2 pictures on ivory discs that floated suspended in a thin layer of clear fluid. The extreme sensitivity of this fluid to light, and in particular to direct sunlight, held the secret of the egg. For some reason, whether on commission from the Tsar or simply as a macabre private joke, the artist who created the egg had made 2 portraits of the lovely woman who was his subject. Those who opened the locket in daylight, as the Sultan at court, saw the first portrait. Those who opened it at night saw the second. I tried to explain to the Sultan what had actually happened, but he was obsessed with the idea that the egg possessed supernatural powers. To him, Jasmine's fate appeared not an unfortunate accident, but a prophecy fulfilled. Believing the Tsar's gift to be an evil omen that would bring only death to those around him and sorrow to his reign, he ordered the egg banished from his sight. This token of the Tsar's esteem has now been lost to us, and, like the splendor of the once great Ottoman Empire itself, has passed into the night of history, for I never saw the egg again. As for the Sultan's superstitious premonitions of disaster, events which I shall subsequently relate will show that, like the girls, they were all too amply fulfilled.